Coverage next Thursday, June 30th, beginning at 9 a.m. with senior anchor Pinky Webb and yours truly. People in Luzon are facing thin power reserves days after plants tripped in Bataan, but authorities say there will be no brownouts for now. Melissa Lopez tells us whether we could expect higher electricity charges.
The Luzon power grid has been running on thin reserve supply since Saturday after several power plants suddenly went offline. Power transmission in Bataan was disrupted when the retail lines of the local electric cooperative tripped. This caused some damage in power plants in the area, taking 596 megawatts out of commission for several days. The incident forced the Luzon grid to go on red alert on Saturday afternoon, meaning there were no reserves to cushion the expected demand for electricity. Supply in Luzon remained under yellow alert in the afternoon of Monday to Wednesday as the operating margin was lower than the comfortable 647 megawatt reserve level. Despite this, the Energy Department says they did not have to resort to brownouts.
Medyo malamig yung temperatura natin, so yung ating projected peak demand for the day ay hindi nangyayari. Mas mababa yung actual demand natin kaysa sa projected demand natin. Nakakatulong yan para hindi tayo magkaroon ng service interruption. So may yellow alert man tayo, wala naman tayong breakdown.
As of Thursday afternoon, DOE is still waiting for 2 units of GN power plants in Mariveles to go back online. It took 632 megawatts out of available capacity on top of nearly 1,000 megawatts from other power generation firms currently under maintenance. The National Grid Corporation says the yellow alert for Thursday afternoon did not push through due to lower than expected power consumption. The DOE is completing its probe on who is to blame for causing narrow power supply margins in Luzon, but it says the situation is improving. Power rates are unlikely to be affected.
Meron man siyang maging kapalit sa presyo, hindi namin inaasahan na malaking impact yun. Mas importante kasi meron tayong continuous supply ng electricity.
Power distributor Meralco earlier said that the yellow alert does not automatically mean brownouts.
Sa distribution utility network ng Meralco, we can assure you that as long as there is enough capacity and the transmission is flowing to our distribution substations, wala po tayong magiging problema.
Melissa Lopez, CNN Philippines.
Amid continuous fuel price hikes, Senator Win Gatchalian is proposing a 3,000 peso monthly subsidy for public utility vehicle drivers. Gatchalian says 4 billion pesos should cover the cash aid for 5 months. The lawmaker adds this could come from a supplemental budget or other departments' unused funds.
The CEO of ExxonMobil said that this might go as long as 5 years. No? This type of scenario, and this is the CEO of the biggest oil company of the world, no? Malaking oil company to. I hope he's wrong. We just have to prepare, meaning we just need to make sure that our 2023 budget will have enough pantawid pasada and ayuda.
Transport groups have been calling for the fuel excise tax suspension, but for Gatchalian, this should be the last resort because it would cost billions of pesos in government revenues. Meanwhile, welcome news for household workers in Metro Manila who are getting a pay raise in the coming weeks. The Labor Department says the Regional Wage Board has approved the 1,000 peso wage hike for some 200,000 kasambahays. Their monthly salary will now be 6,000 pesos. The increase will take effect once affirmed by the National Wages and Productivity Commission. Wage boards in Calabarzon and Soxargen are still conducting hearings on requests to raise the pay of domestic workers. More stories ahead on Newsnight. The driver who ran over a security guard in Mandaluyong calls it an accident. George Quiles gives us details. And search and rescue efforts underway after a deadly quake in eastern Afghanistan. Stay tuned.
Ang damo ay natutuyo, ang bulaklak ay nalalanta. Ngunit ang salita ng ating Diyos ay mamamalagi magpakailanman.
Ang mabuting balita ay hatid sa inyo ng MX3. Mag-MX3 araw-araw para MX Extraordinary.
Sa dami ng taong nakalipas, salamat dahil hindi niyo kami iniwan. Dahil sa inyong tulong, mas naging maayos ang akala namin nakalimutan na. Basta't nariyan kayo, alam naming hindi mapapabayaan ang aming paghihirap para sa sarili, sa pamilya, sa kapwa, at sa bansa. Kampante kami, basta't kasama kayo.
Gintong dagat ang pagitan, San Miguel, Pilsen ang nasa pagitan, laging nasa pagitan na San Miguel, Pilsen, sarap laging kasama.
Ang mga residente ay stranded pa rin.
Lahat halos ng mga bahay dito ay sira.
Lampas tao na yung tubig.
Overnight thinking, binantayan din natin ang sitwasyon.
A portion of the Arten Bridge here in Navotas was destroyed.
Nakikita niyo sa likod ko ngayon, malakas na yung agos ng Canal River. Ang resulta, lagpas taong taas ng baha.
Agabi, takot na po kami. Ilang minuto lang po na ang taas na po ng tubig.
Merong mga outsiders na nananamantala.
Wala pa nga rin daw tumutulong sa kanila.
Kahit yung mga bahay dito sa paligid, lubog na sa baha.
You're watching CNN Philippines. The SUV driver in the Mandaluyong hit-and-run case claims that the viral incident more than 2 weeks ago was an accident as he showed up at the preliminary investigation today. Our George Quiles has this update.
Jose Antonio San Vicente filed his counter-affidavit on the frustrated murder and abandonment of one's victim cases filed against him here at the Mandaluyong City Prosecutor's Office. San Vicente was mum when we asked him about the content of his sworn statement. But the source privy to the case told us that in his affidavit, the suspect said that he accidentally bumped a security guard, Christian Floralde. We asked for a clarification from San Vicente's lawyer, Attorney Danny Macalino.
Sinabi it was not the least of his intention. Hindi naman intentional lang nangyari. So, assist na lang.
Floralde's lawyer, Attorney Federico Biolena, says otherwise.
I think initially it was an accident. Then the succeeding events, it's up to you to conclude. My lawyer siya, so let his lawyer explain.
Attorney Biolena says the uploader of the viral video where the hit-and-run video was caught has sworn to the authenticity of the evidence before the prosecutor on Wednesday. As of now, the prosecutor will evaluate the pieces of evidence and testimonies from both parties if there are sufficient reasons to file cases before a court. George Cahiles, CNN Philippines.
The health department warns cases in Metro Manila may hit up to 2,000 next month, but Secretary Francisco Duque says the agency does not see a massive increase in nationwide numbers. Daily cases went as high as 39,000 during the Omicron wave in January and 26,000 during the Delta surge late last year.
Hindi mo naman pwede ikumpara itong situation natin today with that of 2020 na walang bakuna. Hindi masyadong maganda yung masking, yung minimum public health standards compliance. Ngayon, may bakuna na tayo. So makikita mo yung severe critical cases, mababa, no? Deaths natin, mababa, no? Tuloy-tuloy na mababa. So the situation today is far different from what it used to be.
The health chief did not discount the possibility of another surge because of mutations and transmissibility of the virus. But despite the uptick in cases, Duque says he's not yet keen on recommending another vaccine booster shot for the general public.
We don't listen to anybody else but our experts. We do not like pseudo experts. So the experts, the Health Technology Assessment Council members, the Vaccine Expert Panel, the Technical Advisory Group, wala silang ganun pa. In fact, ang tag on Technical Advisory Group, sinasabi nila, maliit ang value ng booster for the general population outside of the A1, A2, A3, and the immunocompromised.
Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship Joey Concepcion proposed to expand the second booster rollout to workers. Concepcion says he's planning to form a health and economy advisory group for the private sector. He will sit down with experts tomorrow to tackle pandemic recovery. San Juan City began rolling out booster doses today for minors aged 12 to 17 with weak immunities. Mayor Francis Zamora led the launch at the Cardinal Santos Medical Center, where 12 children were inoculated. The health department approved the booster shot for the priority group this week, but Zamora hopes the third dose would soon be approved for 12 to 17-year-olds, with face-to-face classes possibly opening in August. In the United States, Moderna says its updated COVID-19 booster works better against the more transmissible Omicron subvariants. It says the bivalent booster contains both the original dose and another that specifically targets Omicron. Moderna hopes to complete regulatory submissions in the coming weeks to have supplies ready as early as August. New studies, however, show Omicron subvariants BA.4 and BA.5 tend to escape antibodies from vaccines. This was found among people who had previous COVID-19 infection and those fully vaccinated and boosted. But researchers note vaccines provide significant protection against severe disease. And still in the U.S., health workers ramping up testing efforts as monkeypox cases continue to increase. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has provided monkeypox tests to 5 laboratories. These will be available to health care providers by next month. At least 142 monkeypox infections have been reported across 23 states. Other world headlines: search and rescue operations in full swing in eastern Afghanistan after an earthquake that killed more than 1,000 people. A heavy blow for a country already facing a dire economic and humanitarian crisis. CNN's Scott McLean reports.
Search and rescue efforts in Afghanistan are badly under-resourced. It is difficult to overstate the remoteness of the hardest hit area, which is about 100 miles or so south of Kabul. It is built on a traditional fault line, it's mountainous, and it lacks very basic infrastructure. And so the reality is that a lot of the digging for any survivors is being done without heavy equipment. It is being done by local people by hand, and they are pulling out a lot of bodies that are now piling up on the streets. Remarkably, though, we are also hearing stories about people who have been pulled out alive. In this area, a lot of homes are built on the side of mountains precariously. There are also a lot of other homes that are built in the valleys below, which makes them extremely prone to landslides. And lately, this part of Afghanistan has gotten some very heavy rains. And because of the mud and because of the rain, UNICEF says that many areas are completely cut off, completely inaccessible. The government says that some villages have been entirely leveled. Foreign aid groups are on the ground already because even before this earthquake, Afghanistan, of course, as we know, was in very dire straits. Not only has it had recent natural disasters, floods, and drought, well, it has also had the economic crisis that has brought famine to many people. One UN estimate from March found that 95% of households didn't have enough food to eat. The Taliban is pledging to directly pay people who were injured and the families of those killed, but that is a pretty bold pledge from a government that is cash-strapped and unable to feed its own people.
Here at home, a train line between Laguna and Quezon provinces could begin operations this weekend. This as the Philippine National Railways, or PNR, wraps up the construction of the line. The PNR San Pablo-Lucena project was delayed for over 2 years because of the pandemic. One-way trips between Laguna and Quezon cost 60 pesos. Once the train line is operational, travel time will be cut by half from the previous 2.5 hours.
We decided to reopen this service because between San Pablo and Lucena, the traffic has been really bad. That corridor really needs help na dun sa mass transit nila.
PNR earlier said the rail line will be open before President Duterte's term ends on June 30th. Entertainment news up ahead. Thai BL actors Juan and new Titi Poom announced their return to Manila. And Twitter is testing a new feature that allows users to tweet longer. You're watching CNN Philippines.
For everything that's true, count on GS and Blue. The true things come your way, yeah. In your life you have a star. So choose not sa bonding ng barkada, GS and Blue ang kasama. We choose GS and Blue. Choose what's true.
Okay lang to make mistakes, kung sa sarili totoo at hindi fake.
Dahil ito ang GS and Blue.
Fried chicken? Timplang happy! With easy-to-cook Magnolia Chicken Timplados. Iba't ibang sarap ng chicken, kaya. Anong Magnolia Chicken Timplados mo?
Iba't ibang easy chicken sarap.
Making life sweet is easy dahil 35 pesos SRP lang ang San Miguel flavored beer. Make life sweet with San Miguel flavored beer.
Beyond bringing power to all, we're taking steps to produce and deliver Earth-friendly energy today and for our children's tomorrow. Powering the good life. Meralco.
Recently, a famous international music artist revealed that he was battling a rare disorder called Ramsay-Hunt syndrome.
We speak of Ramsay-Hunt syndrome. It is a manifestation of the reactivation of their varicella zoster virus.
So it can be really, really painful, causing patients to be debilitated and unable to perform their activities of daily living.
On MedTalk Health Talk, we will discuss what causes Ramsay-Hunt syndrome and the treatments for this condition.
You know, music, movies, and other forms of entertainment have become a necessity to all of us as we stay home amid the pandemic. You know, even if cinemas are closed or concerts have been canceled, we somehow manage to catch our favorite film or, you know, even listen to our favorite artists, which is why every morning on New Day, we will keep you up to speed and put the spotlight on, you know, the top celebrities and, of course, their upcoming projects. So you can catch New Day, news and more every morning at 6 a.m. only here on CNN Philippines.
Welcome back to Newsnight. Soon, netizens on Twitter may get a chance to share longer content with a new feature that lets you go beyond the 280-character limit. Notes is currently being tested among a small group of authors around the world. The function is meant to help writers who want to launch long-form works on the platform. Sports news now. The NU Lady Bulldogs still on a high after ending a dry spell in the UAAP women's volleyball. They bagged their first crown after 65 seasons. Even more impressive, they took their spot on the throne without losing a single match. Speaking to CNN Philippine Sports Desk, the senior players revealed that the rookies have long set their minds to winning the title.
Kasi nung season 81 po namin, palagi po kaming talo. Yun nga po sabi ni Bel, sabi namin ni Jen sa mga bata na hintayin namin sila sa college. Tsaka sabay namin kukunin yung championship.
At sinabi mo sa kanila yon? Sinabi mo dun sa mga bata? Alam nila yon di ba?
Una po dahil sa skills na meron sila. And very talented kasi itong mga batang to. Dati po, yung season 81 nga, lagi kami natatalo. And then, coming from them, sabi talaga nila, ate, ibabawi namin kayo. Pagdating namin dyan, gusto namin mag-champion tayo. So, dun pa lang, kitang-kita mo na gusto talaga nila may mangyari sa team. And very grateful nga po and blessed talaga na yung loyalty talaga nila sa NU, talagang pinanindigan po nila. And, ayun nga, dahil sa gusto nila na mag-champion kami, ayan, ito po kami ngayon.
We are the champions, my friend.
Woo! Namalat pa ako eh. Nagbibinata.
Good news for boys love fans. One of Thailand's well-loved BL couples is coming back to Manila. GMM TV announced that Juan and new Titi Poom, or New, will hold a fan meet on July 30th. Details on the venue and ticket prices are yet to be announced. and New are two of Thailand's actors who took boys' love to global fame. Their last BL series was Dark Blue Kiss. Filipino fans of this American singer must also be happier than ever. Billie Eilish is performing at the Mall of Asia Arena in Pasay on August 13th. Ticket prices range from 3,081 to 14,936 pesos. Pre-sale of passes are slated for tomorrow and Saturday, while public on-sale happens next Monday, June 27th. Jungkook of BTS and Charlie Puth treat netizens to another sneak peek of their highly anticipated collaboration a day before its release. Charlie shared a teaser of Left and Right on social media today. The two also dropped a new TikTok together to promote the song. The collaboration was first announced last week. Here's a look at the teaser for Charlie's K-pop collaboration.
Your love stays with me day and night. I can feel you over here. You take up every corner of my mind. What you gonna do now?
Left and Right begins streaming at 12 p.m. tomorrow. The music video arrives on the same day. And that is it for now. Join me again on news.ph at 7 p.m. I'm Pia Ontiveros. And before we go, just how big is the role of the road sector in bringing back tourism? Watch this.
With more roads and shortened travel hours, places that used to feel like a world away are more accessible than ever. Better connection to cities and provinces have expanded our reach and have allowed for more economic opportunities outside major city centers. But there is still a long way to go in terms of urban planning. How do we continue moving forward? And what could our country be with cohesive and long-term plans in place?
Sustainability, as defined officially, is addressing the needs of the present generation without compromising the needs of future generations. I prefer the definition of the Native American Indian chief, Seattle. We borrowed the earth or the environment from our children. We did not inherit it from our ancestors. And urban planning, urban regional planning, environmental planning can address the balance between sustainability and infrastructure. Urban planning is ordering the use of the land, housing, transportation, infrastructure, services and utilities, parks and open spaces. It's making our cities more efficient, more orderly, and looking at it more comprehensively. Also relating the built environment and the natural environment. It's very comprehensive in terms of time. Like at Palafox, we plan up to the next century. Urban planning includes not just the land use but the circulation in the city, its connectivity, mobility, accessibility, and many of the infrastructure projects being implemented by San Miguel Corporation's infrastructure group are filling the gap. Creating cities and townships away from Metro Manila is helping Metro Manila, because if we don't do that, the Metro Manila situation will have more urban problems, traffic problems, congestion problems, and we have wrong land uses at the wrong place at the wrong time. Most of our planning is short-term and opportunistic, not long-term and visionary. Urban expansion of Metro Manila, we cannot stop it anymore. But I wrote also in 1973, when I was a student, development is not worthy of a name unless spread evenly like butter. We should balance the development. We really have to address poverty and job creation. And the poorer parts of our country, they don't have jobs because they don't have the infrastructure as well. So many things we have to address to benefit the greatest majority of our people. We really have connectivity, mobility, accessibility. San Miguel is now the pace setter in helping urban development and infrastructure. The comprehensive planning we have agropolis, agro, the farm and the city, ecolopolis, ecology, environment and the city, aquapolis, the water in the city, then aerotropolis, the airport in the city. I think San Miguel is doing patriotic and philanthropic infrastructure. So we are aligned in our love of our country.
This program is brought to you by
so many questions.
BYKB Radio.
The Bongbong Marcos administration starting to take shape with the presumptive president announcing his picks for the education and interior departments. Family members, administration allies, and celebrities dominating the new Senate, while Marcos's first cousin is expected to become the House Speaker in the 19th Congress. Meanwhile, in some local areas such as San Pedro Laguna, the voters have decided to topple political dynasties. Good evening, I'm Pia Ontiveros. Welcome to your weekly political appointment fix, politics as usual. Presumptive President Bongbong Marcos already bearing two members of his cabinet. Presumptive Vice President Sara Duterte will become Education Secretary, while Marcos's campaign manager Benher Abalos will serve as Interior Secretary. Other names have been floated, but nothing is final without an official announcement. Bienvenido Laguesma was offered the DOLE, the Labor Department, and Toots Ople offered the Department of Migrant Workers or the DMW.
I think I am already authorized by to announce the first nominee that we will be giving to the Commission on Appointments when the time comes, should I be proclaimed. And that is that our incoming Vice President has agreed to take the brief of Department of Education. Nag-agree naman siya at palagay ko kasama na dyan dahil she is a mother and she wants to make sure that her children are well trained and well educated, and that's the best motivation that we can hope for.
I would also like to announce that Chairman Benher Abalos has been nominated to lead the Department of the Interior, and he has accepted the challenge.
Our guest tonight here in the studio, University of Asia and the Pacific professor and president of WR Numero Research, Robin Michael Garcia. Good evening, Robin. Thank you very much for being here. But, before we talk about the appointments, let's talk about the elections that just happened. You wanted to talk about why BBM won and why Lenny lost.
I think it's a battle of narratives. The first reason why Vice President Lenny Robredo did not win, I think, is because of the weak articulation of the liberal or progressive narrative. I think the narrative of Bongbong Marcos is much more powerful in the sense that, of course, Marcos' salary is there, but the specific narrative is economic success during the administration of his father. I think that was quite a compelling narrative. And of course, the active effort towards making sure that the Marcos administration, is refurbished. The image is refurbished. Among many reasons, you'd see that there's, of course, a landslide for presumptive President Bongbong Marcos.
Yeah. Weak articulation. The Lenny voters would vehemently disagree with you, no? And they'll say na, maganda yung messaging nila, gobyernong tapat, angat buhay
Correct.
lahat, kulay rosas ang bukas, liwanag sa dilim, etc. You know, it goes on.
Yes.
They had great rallies, big rallies, but apparently that wasn't enough. 15M votes as against 30 plus million for BBM.
We've seen in the research that this election is a continuity election. So a lot of people feel that they want to continue the administration of President Duterte. And I think that contributed to why the voters did not accept the liberal or more progressive narrative of Vice President Lady Robredo. So the next step to figure out if it's a continuity election, more people want to continue President Duterte, is to convince the voters why we need to change status quo. And I feel that that's not enough coming from the presidential bid of Vice President Lady Robredo, because majority of people obviously want to continue the administration of President Duterte. So, and therefore, the issue is not just about the image of the Marcos family, it's also about the continued trust that a lot of people give to President Duterte. So I feel that the first step should have been, why do we need to change the current situation? And therefore, why you would vote for Vice President Leni Robredo.
Interesting that you use the word continuity, because when Vic Rodriguez was interviewed, he was asked about how BBM will continue the programs, for example, policies of PRRD of President Duterte. And he was saying in so many words, he's going to be his own man. At the same time, parang, okay, he's his father's son, pero he has other plans. He wants to do other things, etc.
Yeah, even if Bongbong Marcos did not get the outright endorsement of President Duterte, and in fact, last year, President Duterte was implicitly saying that he doesn't support Bongbong Marcos.
Yeah.
I think that
a weak leader, sabi niya.
Yeah, a weak leader and other things. I think that they stuck to the message. They want to get the Duterte votes, which they did, because they know that a lot of the people really are going to vote on the good things that the president administration represents, and many things such as build, such as the drug war. I think based on our research, the drug war is supported, but Marcos was not very clear about how exactly does he want to solve the drug war, but he did say that he wants to support the drug war, among many other things.
We're already talking about moving forward, the future, but and very briefly, just like 30 seconds, talk about why there was that reaction from the Leni voters, 15 million of them, saying in so many words that they didn't exactly trust the results of the elections, in spite of the fact that it is an automated election system.
Well, of course, there's a cognitive dissonance there. We've consistently seen the massive rallies for Vice President Leni Robredo, but at the same time, they don't see it reflecting in the pre-election polls, which was actually very consistent among all the survey firms, whether they be privately commissioned or publicly released. The results are the same, and so it was difficult actually to figure out and to try to make sense of those results that are quite different on the ground and results that you can see in the numbers. But in the end, the surveys prevailed. Of course, there's a question of whether big data analytics, specifically from Google Trends, is really a reliable measure or predictor of elections.
Well, it's not, right? Not because look what happened.
Well, probably not yet. I think there are methodological issues that can be improved, but it is used in advanced democracy. So I think maybe Filipino scholars and firms might be able to benefit from studying more about how exactly we could use that data to predict election outcomes.
All right, moving forward. So we have those appointments by BBM, Ben-Hur Abalos for DILG and Sara Duterte herself for DepEd. What do you think of that? At the same time, what do you want to see in the cabinet? For example, DFA, DOF, very important, finance, DTI, trade, DND, defense, DNR, DOTR, health, DOH.
So far, what we've seen are appointments that are given to close allies and coalition members who campaigned for them over the last few months. But what I hope is to get the best and the brightest, meaning we're looking at experts and industry experts, scholars who study and have experience, in the industry that they're supposed to be appointed for. So, for example, if someone should be appointed for the Department of Energy, that person should at least have some experience in the energy department. But of course, professional experience and academic qualifications is just one thing. The other thing that we have to think, the other criteria that we have to think about, of course, is more on the moral side. Of course, integrity and all of those things. But I think, we're dealing with a pandemic. We really hope that we assemble a cabinet that can effectively deal with post-pandemic response, because that's the economic and material context that presumptive President Bongbong Marcos is dealing with in the next few months.
All right, we'll be back after a quick break. Robin's still going to be here with us. This is Politics as Usual. Be right back. Welcome back. This is Politics as Usual. Presumptive President Bongbong Marcos's first cousin, expected to become the House Speaker of the 19th Congress. Martin Romualdez, 1st District of Leyte representative, has earned the support of major political parties, including the National Unity Party, PDP Laban, and the Nationalista Party. Incumbent House Speaker Lord Alan Velasco, who we thought would want to stay, had the support of Sara Duterte. But today, Velasco himself endorsed Romualdez as the next speaker, saying the former will, quote, ensure that the legislative agenda of the incoming administration will be pursued and completed.
We are actually going to continue with all of the amelioration programs that have been started in aid of the pandemic response. We will continue with all the economic measures to help reinvigorate our economy.
All right, Robin Garcia is still here with us. Robin, tell us what you think of a Martin Romualdez as Speaker of the House, and how it will work in the BBM administration. Everybody always says that the legislative is or supposed to be independent of the administration, but of course that's not exactly the case.
Yeah. Majority Floor Leader Martin Romualdez, I think, is a good choice. He enjoys the respect of the majority of the members of the House of Representatives. If there's any indication of that, you see the support that he's getting over the last few days. But at the same time, of course, we know that he was running for the Speaker a couple of months ago. And I think that's worked for him. He has built a coalition. And, if he's going to be instrumental in supporting the policy and legislative priorities of the next administration. Of course, if there are policies that would be good for the economy, then it's important that Congress will be aligned with the priorities, with the good priorities of the next administration.
And of course, for the minority leader, yung magiging minority leader kasi kailangan tumakbo rin as speaker para maging minority leader. And it looks like from the rough numbers that we've seen, well, like they call it the super majority that's supporting Romualdez. Yeah. What will this mean for the country? I mean, yes, it will help, for example, economic policy that the BBM administration must pursue. There's that support for that, no? But with a weak opposition or a very minor minority in the House of Representatives, ano ibig sabihin nun?
We're a democracy, and the reason why there are people who may not exactly support the policies is because we need to balance the what might be deemed as negative for society, and of course negative may not. Non-support may not exactly be negative. It could be good, in fact, to have great discussions, good debates, and that's what we need. But with an imminent supermajority, I feel that the opposition has to be able to figure out how they will lead the lower house moving forward. Of course, it's a different story in the Senate. There are people in the Senate who are not exactly aligned with Bongbong Marcos, and I think that's hopeful for the opposition.
Yeah, buti na lang nabanggit mo na yung Senate because we're going to go over here to our screen. We're going to show the what the Senate is going to look like. And Robin, I want you to help me do this. So just to explain first to the viewers, what we have here on the first row are the 12 incumbents whose terms end on June 30, 2025. And then the lower 12 are the incoming, yung mga or returning senators whose terms will end on June 30, 2028. Itong 12 nasa baba ay yung mga nanalo at ipoproklama bukas ng Commission on Elections. So we're going to start, Robin, with yung mga incumbent and what we'll do is we're going to put them in the proper column.
Right.
So it's either their administration or opposition, or if they're not yet decided or malabo pa, we'll put them here in the middle. So you just tell me where. No? So let's begin with Senator Sonny Angara.
I think he's in the running to be speaker, to be Senate president. So while he wasn't so vocal supporting Bongbong Marcos, I think he's aligned with the administration. Yes.
Yeah. Nancy Binay.
I'm not sure about Nancy Binay. She could be part of the opposition, although there's no big pronouncement from her yet.
So maybe like opposition or independent, but let's put her here in the middle, right?
Maybe you could also put Senator Pia Ontiveros.
You mean Pia Cayetano?
Oh, sorry. Pia
Cayetano.
Pia Cayetano, rather.
Yeah. Here, we'll put her here in the middle muna.
Sure. And then Senator Grace po as well.
Yeah. Wait a minute, si Pia Cayetano, syempre, kapatid ni Alan. And although they were allied with Duterte.
They were allied with Duterte, but they don't necessarily support Bongbong Marcos, I think.
That's a nice way of saying that Alan, went after BBM in 2016. Bato de la Rosa, syempre. Okay, dito tayo sa administration. Bato de la Rosa. Bongo.
Yes, of course.
Administration. All right. Dito Lapid. Administration.
I think administration.
Okay. Amy Marcos, may tanong pa ba? Administration. Ito na. Coco Pimentel.
Coco Pimentel, we're not sure. There are talks that he'll be part of the minority, but he's still about to decide. So.
Okay. Siya ba yung... si Joel pala yun. But anyway, okay. So let's put him here first, in the middle.
Okay, sure.
Yeah? Okay. Grace Po.
In the middle.
In the middle also.
There's still a lot of people in the middle. I think,
Bong Revilla.
Administration.
Here, administration. Very clearly, no? Lakas.
The gentleman from Cavite, that's
Francis Tolentino, administration.
Of course.
Cynthia Villar, administration. Interesado daw maging Senate President. Right. Okay, so we're putting her here. Now, let's go to the lower column. So, ito na yung 12 incoming and or returning, yung mga panalo nitong May 2022. So, Robin Padilla, of course, administration. Lauren Lagarda, administration. Raffy Tulfo.
We're not sure about Raffy Tulfo. He's probably one of the most interesting cases. He's got a lot of support.
Okay, so...
And, a lot of people are looking at, what he's going to do.
So we'll put him first here in the middle?
In the middle.
All right, okay. Sherwin Gatchalian, also interested in the Senate presidency.
Also interested in Senate president, so probably administration.
Administration. Cheese Escudero, who said on election night,
he supports...
He said he ran for Lenny, but he's going to...
I think he could be in the middle.
Middle muna tayo. Okay, let's put him here in the middle. I wonder how they'll be reacting. Mark Villar, by the way, marami tayong nakikitang magkapatid or mag-ina, sorry. So Mark Villar, of course, administration. There he is, right?
Alan
His mother, Alan Peter Cayetano, kapatid ni Pia.
Still in the middle, I think.
Lagay na muna natin sa gitna. Okay, pero suportado si... Teka, dito natin ilagay. All right. Mig Zubiri.
Also interested in the Senate presidency
and administration. He was with the BBM Senate slate. Joel Villanueva, he said open studying consulting.
He's still in the middle.
Okay, gitna muna natin siya. JV Ejercito.
JV, I think, is in the middle.
Talaga? JV? Gitna. I wonder if they're watching and then they're saying, teka, hindi ako dyan. Risa Ontiveros, lone opposition.
Lone opposition
very clearly. Nako.
And
all by myself. And then Jinggoy
is administration.
Administration. So we have here, we'll count lang 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Clearly administration. And then yung mga nilagay mo sa gitna, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
9. But do you think they'll eventually just move over here to the administration?
I think they'll be choosing, where to go. It depends on what policies they're gonna support and what policies they're not going to support. I think they won't be outrightly hostile against the next administration. So maybe it's a waiting game. You know.
Yeah, not outrightly hostile, but you have, like, for example, Alan Cayetano. In the 2016 elections, he ran as VP running mate of PRRD. And Coco Pimentel, for example, nung pinag-uusapan yung PDP laban and endorsement of BBM, you know, he was saying, how can you do that? You know, my father's going to turn his grave. You know, the party that rallied and protested against the first Marcos administration, di ba?
Right. I think Alan Peter Cayetano will be an interesting person to look at. He's been very vocal about the corruption, you know, issues that surround the Marcos family. So we'll see if he's going to use his position to be vocal again. But right now, I think he's also a little bit reasonable. He can support some policies which he might think, you know, might think is good for post-pandemic response.
Yeah, very quickly, Robin, if we were to, so they're here in the middle, but if we were to decide, you know, where they would most likely lean toward, whether administration or opposition, lahat ito ba would lean toward the administration?
Not necessarily.
No.
Some of them can be opposition, can evolve into an opposition. So, you know, it really remains to be seen the level of satisfaction and trust of presumptive President Bongbong Marcos in the next few years.
Yeah.
So maybe in the midterm elections, you know, things might change.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we need to look out for, the alignments that might happen coming from this set of candidates.
So can we put them on this side if they're going to lean more towards the opposition? Sino?
Okay, sure,
Sino?
sure. Maybe Alan Peter was
Alan.
just because he was vocal against Bongbong Marcos in 2016. I'm not so sure about Coco. I'm not so sure.
Yeah, of course. In a way, siguro they'll also be careful because you have a president who has 31 million votes.
Yes,
no?
of course.
Okay, and like we said, of course, nag-iisang opposition. All right, so don't go anywhere. Politics as usual. Be right back. Stay with us. We're on our final stretch. San Pedro Laguna will be under new leadership following the defeat of Aaron Katakis, the son of the city's incumbent mayor, Lourdes Katakis. Joining us via Zoom is San Pedro Laguna's incumbent vice mayor and now mayor-elect Art Joseph Francis Mercado. Art, hi. Thank you very much. Okay, so what happened in San Pedro Laguna? How did you beat the Katakis political family?
Through hard work, Ma'am Pia, we were able to get our platform across the different sectors, different communities of our city. We were able to tell them our plans and what we're willing to do to bring change to our city.
Mm-hmm. You are not a first timer in politics. Like we said, you are incumbent vice mayor. Before this, the previous term, you were a councilor also, right?
Yes. Actually, 2016, I was a city councilor, and then 2019, I became vice mayor, and then 2022, I ran for mayor, and thank God that I won.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You know, the national elections, of course, were very, everybody was focused on it. Ang tinitingnan talaga ng tao is this fight between BBM and Lenny. How did BBM do there in Laguna again? And how did that factor? Oh, your daughter, is that your daughter behind you?
My daughters. The unity team won actually in San Pedro by a huge number of votes. They won by landslide also. So very, very thankful also to Vice President-elect Mayor Inday Sara Duterte for helping my campaign. She actually went to our city. She went house to house with our group, So we're very, very thankful for her support. And actually, I'm in Davao right now because I took my oath before her this morning. So thank you, Mayor, Vice President Inday.
Okay. Oh, you're very close pala kay Inday. Sarah, ha? Okay. Sige, we won't keep you very long and we don't have much time either, but we hope to have you on the show in the future and yung mas mahabang oras. Maraming salamat sa iyo, Mayor-elect Art Mercado of San Pedro, Laguna. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me, Ma'am Pia. Salamat po.
All right. And of course, just the last 2 minutes before we end the show, Robin Garcia is still here with us. I want to talk very briefly about this petition that was filed at the Supreme Court. No? So they want to cancel the candidacy of BBM, and the petitioners have asked the High Tribunal to TRO the canvassing of the votes in Congress for President and VP. Is this going to get anywhere, or have people already accepted the results?
So obviously the Comelec and Bank did not approve. I mean, it struck down this whole case. So the recourse is to go to the Supreme Court. We're not sure whether or not the Supreme Court can really, be the deciding factor here. But, it really depends as well on political forces that might be, involved in this whole case. But if there's any indication, I think if President Duterte and the coalition of President Duterte just wanted to disqualify Bongbong Marcos, and it should have already happened at the Comelec level.
Okay. And might it be a little bit difficult to do that now at the Supreme Court level, given that, the guy has 30 plus million votes? But I mean, it's like invalidating all those votes, telling those who voted for him na walang kwenta yung boto nyo.
It's still possible, but of course it's going to be a PR issue for the Supreme Court. I think the satisfaction and trust rating of the Supreme Court might go down after that. But I think if the Supreme Court believes that the decision to disqualify is the right decision, then it should follow what it thinks is right. In the end, the Court of Public Opinion is different from the Supreme Court. It's supposed to decide independently and objectively about the case.
All right. Final words, Robin Garcia.
Well, we hope presumptive President Bongbong Marcos will be able to come up with a powerful cabinet, because we're dealing with a lot of problems that affect lives of millions of people who supported him, and people who did support him as well.
Thank you so much, Robin Garcia, UANP professor and president of WR Numero Research. Salamat, Robin.
Thank you very much.
Hope to see you again here in the show. We've been told before, don't talk politics at the dinner table or at a family reunion or in Viber groups, and risk digital warfare. But we can talk about it here at this table on the show, your weekly political appointment fix, politics as usual. I'm Pia Ontiveros. See you back here next Tuesday, 8:30 p.m.
RPN Regional